Good evening and welcome to Global Lens News. I'm Sadia Afzal. What if the biggest threat to a country isn't just the enemies at its borders, but the pressure building from within? Right now, Israel is going through one of the most tense and complicated periods in its history. And for the first time in years, the criticism isn't only coming from outside voices, it's coming from inside the system itself. From military reservists, from former intelligence chiefs, and even from political allies. So the question people are starting to ask is simple but serious. Is the Israeli military, the IDF, being pushed to its limits? And at the center of it all is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, facing growing pressure on multiple fronts. For decades, the Israeli military has been seen as one of the strongest and most organized forces in the world. It relies not just on active soldiers, but heavily on reservists, everyday citizens who step in during times of crisis. That system only works when there is trust between the public, the military, and the government. But recently, that trust has started to show cracks. We have seen reservists openly refusing to serve in protest of government decision. Elite pilots, intelligence officers, and highly trained personnel warning that political instability is beginning to affect military readiness. And perhaps more striking of all, over 100 former Israeli security officials, people who once ran the country's defense and intelligence systems, have publicly warned that current policies could pose a threat to Israel itself. That kind of internal warning is rare. It's not the usual political disagreement. It's experienced insiders raising alarms. At the same time, the nature of the threats Israel faces is evolving. It's no longer just conventional warfare. Groups like Hezbollah have been developing new tactics, including drone capabilities that are harder to detect and intercept. These kinds of changes expose gaps and force the military to constantly adapt, often under pressure and in real time. And all of this is happening while Israel is dealing with tension on multiple fronts. There is the ongoing conflict in Gaza, then Lebanon, and then direct confrontation with Iran. And the border region, including places like Syria, remains unstable. Fighting on multiple fronts isn't just a military challenge, it's a long-term strain. It stretches resources, exhausts personnel, and puts pressure on decision-making at the highest levels. Modern warfare isn't only about strength. It's about how long a country can sustain that strength without breaking down internally. This is where the focus shifts directly to leadership and to Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu is no stranger to controversy, but the current moment is different. He's dealing with ongoing legal battles, including corruption charges involving fraud, bribery, and breach of trust, cases that have already deeply divided public opinion. At the same time, his political opposition is reorganizing. Figures like Yair Lapid and Naftali Bennett, who have both held power before, are now aligning more closely to challenge his leadership. Even among those who share similar security concerns, there is increasing criticism of how the current situation is being handled. Then there is the judicial crisis, one of the biggest internal conflicts Israel has faced in recent years. Government efforts to change the judicial system sparked massive protests across the country. Legal institutions pushed back. Defense officials warned about the impact on national security. And at one point, the tension between branches of power became so intense that major decisions were blocked, highlighting just how deep the divisions had become. And those divisions are not limited to politicians or officials. They have spilled into the streets. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis have protested, sometimes week after week. Some are protesting government reforms, others are protesting the handling of the war. What makes this especially significant is that it's happening during a time of conflict. In most countries, war tends to unify people, at least temporarily. But in Israel's case, it has exposed and intensified existing divisions. And that brings us back to the military. Because the IDF doesn't operate in isolation. It depends on society, on reservists showing up, on public trust, on a sense of shared purpose. When that unity weakens, even a strong military can feel the impact. So is Israel actually at a breaking point? There are clear warning signs that cannot be ignored. Internal disagreements within the military, growing political instability, public protests on a massive scale, and the ongoing pressure of managing multiple threats at once. Individually, each of these challenges is manageable, but together they create a situation that becomes harder to sustain over time. History shows that countries don't suddenly collapse under pressure. Instead, strain builds gradually through internal conflict, leadership challenges, and strategic overreach. Israel is not there yet, but what makes this moment different is that cracks are visible, not just to outside observers, but to people inside the system itself. And when those voices start raising concerns, it's usually a sign that something deeper is shifting. The coming months will be critical because the real question isn't just about military strength. It's about whether the country can hold itself together under that pressure. And that's something no army, no matter how powerful, can solve on its own. This is Sadia Afzal for Global Lens News.